Man, I can't believe it. People have it so good nowadays. You can play a full console release. You can play Zelda Breath of the Wild in your hands. I mean, when I was a kid, your handheld options were very, very limited. And I know this is a full console, and obviously Zelda Breath of the Wild can be played on the TV, but just put in perspective, via the Mario 35th collection, you can actually put Mario Galaxy on here. When Mario Galaxy came out, there's no way you could ever imagine that being in your hands. Back in my day, we played on like a Game Boy Advance with a crazy worm light, trying to get any kind of light where we could to power the half-baked games that were a sad representation of what we had on console. Today, we're going to be talking about some of those sad representations. So here's the problem. Back in the 90s, a lot of people wanted to game on the go, and they had some wonderful options. The Game Boy, the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advanced, the Game Gear to some extent, the Neo Geo Pocket Color, and they had some fantastic games. Some games that I would never trade anything in the world for. But there were some companies that kind of gave you a little bit maybe too much hope. There's some companies that said that, this game is exactly like what you're getting on the console, or at the very least, they didn't change the title at all. Now, this would be confusing for maybe younger kids or parents, or especially grandparents. When you go to the store and you want the hot new game, and you think you're buying exactly what your kid wants, but you end up getting something of diminishing quality. Let's dip our toes into something that's it shouldn't be that bad, right? The NES was an 8-bit console, the Game Boy was an 8-bit console, and granted, I'll give you the fact that the Game Boy's not going to have color, so that's a limitation we all knew about. But other than that, these should be pretty damn close. We're going to go with Mega Man 2. Mega Man 2 is on many people's top 10 NES games ever, and as far as the original Mega Man series, Mega Man 2 for most people happens to be their favorite one. This game is an absolute classic. It's not unfair. It's hard, but it's not unbeatable. The rock, paper, scissors mechanic is something that the game would take forward all the way through the end of its life cycle, at least so far. And look at this, the colors pop, the controls are tight. Granted, the controls get a little bit more refined later in the series, but this is where a lot of people think Mega Man really caught its stride. And then plus, this music is phenomenal. This is some of the best music, maybe even in the entire series. In my personal opinion, it's definitely the best music in the first 6 games. Which is gonna bring me to my first point of the Game Boy version. Listen to this intro screen music. This is actually pretty damn good. This is a banger. I was very surprised when I put this in for the first time. I was like, man, this ain't bad at all. I kind of like this jam here. So, hey, let's jump in the game and see what happens. And what the hell is this? There's 4 Robot Masters, that's it? Nothing more? I know it's a Game Boy, it should be a little bit more limited, but why would you cut half of the game? That's crazy. The graphics, I guess, I would hope would be on par. Let's go ahead and pick Clashman. Wow, good job, QC, picking that one up. The level actually even seems way easier. There's way less sprites on the screen. There's kind of really generally less challenge. And I redact what I said about the 8-bit graphics being the same. I guess because of limitation, or I don't know, but this is definitely way worse than the NES version. But then you have the exact opposite problem on Woodman stage. The levels are definitely smaller, there's, way less screens, but it seems much harder. They did add the slide in, which was not originally in Mega Man 2, which I guess is kind of a help, but it's really weird. I feel like the Game Boy was not that handicapped compared to the NES, and it just feels like it's just way too weak and they didn't put much effort into this. I gotta do a little bit of a preface on this one. I actually happen to like the Game Boy version of this next game way more than the original version, but the reason it's on this list is because they have the same name, and it can be very misleading, especially let's say that, your grandmother bought you a Game Boy for Christmas, and this is a game you've been wanting, and she bought the Game Boy version, rather than the PlayStation version. I think you can see where I'm going with this. So Battle Arena Toshinden on the PS1 is a 3D arena-based fighter, kind of like Tekken or maybe Soul Calibur, more like Soul Calibur, probably because of the weapons. But it has controls kind of like Street Fighter, projectiles, and your uppercuts, and it has the same movement basis as Street Fighter, just in a 3D plane. This game is pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. In a time of Sega Saturns and PS1s, this is something that really stood out in the crowd. And it was a really cool, very vibrant game, good soundtrack, memorable characters. It actually even had a tie-in anime movie, which is kind of cool too. But, well, let's see what you get with the Game Boy version. So obviously, this is like 100% not the same game as the PS1 version. This is more of a classic 2D fighting game, like a Street Fighter or a Mortal Kombat, and is, well, drastically different than its PS1 counterpart. Like I did say in the beginning though, I actually personally like this game way more. One thing that's weird about it is most 2D fighters do not have a ring out option, and in this game that is like kind of the easiest way to win. But this game's really cool, and all the special moves are exactly the same kind of inputs as a Street Fighter. So as someone who played a lot of Street Fighter back in the 90s, I picked this game up very, very quickly. If you're a fan of the Neo Geo Pocket style fighting games, like the Samurai Showdown Pocket and all those, this is gonna be right up your alley. I know the whole point of this video is to show like how you were lied to, and hey, I am not discounting that. If you said, hey, I want to get Battle Arena Toshinden and just like grabbed it without knowing that that this version is not what you might have in mind, obviously that is semi-misleading. For someone who doesn't know. But I will say that, this game has such good memories for me. I remember riding, like, home from school on the bus and playing this just for damn ever. I love it so much. It has secret characters. It actually somehow was really faithfully able to incorporate all of the moves from the PS1 game into this game, and all of the characters. It didn't skimp on anyone. I think one thing that really helped that, though, is like I said when talking about the PS1 counterpart, the controls in the PS1 game, even though you can double tap to enter that 3D plane, are basically Street Fighter controls. Down, diagonal, forward, punch, shoots a fireball, and then of course that translates perfectly to this 2D fighter. So the next game I want to look at is actually on the Game Boy Advance. Now the Game Boy Advance is where the line really did start to blur between a home console game and a portable game. A lot of Super Nintendo games were ported to the Game Boy Advance with really, really great results. Also, some new games were just outrageously good. I mean, the Sonic Advance series was basically the true successor to the original 2D Sonic games, if you're into the 2D style. Heck, Golden Sun harkens back to the golden age of console RPGs. I mean, this game could have been on Super Nintendo. Actually, I don't even know if it could have been on Super Nintendo. This game just seems way more powerful. The graphics, the animations are insane. I mean, this summon right here is the coolest thing I've ever seen, and this is on a handheld. One thing that always super impressed me was Mario Kart Super Circuit on the Game Boy Advance. I mean, the game itself runs way better than Super Mario Kart, but listen to this music. Listen specifically to the bass. I mean, like, when they were making this, I feel like they were, like, in the shop just tearing it up. I mean, this has no business being this good. That's why it's so disheartening when the Game Boy Advance did slip up and have a flop that, well, inevitably absolutely deserves to be on this list. Jet Grind Radio on the Dreamcast is beloved by so many people. I mean, this is a modern marvel. This game has aged so well. I mean, you got the CD quality music, of course, is timeless. But not only that, I mean, the selection of music, God, is outrageously good. But the graphics, this is one of the first examples, to my recollection, that had these beautiful cel-shaded graphics. These graphics are amazing because, you kind of overlap a model with almost a hand-drawn look, so it just feels like it can just always look good. I mean, I have definitely upscaled it with different consoles, and it can look even better, but even just popping it into a standard Dreamcast, hooking it up to a regular old CRT-TV, this game is still absolutely beautiful, and the gameplay is so cool. I mean, you're kind of like these Tokyo street punks skating around, spray painting stuff, messing with the cops, and there's a huge overarching kind of more sinister threat that's kind of taking over the streets, but this game is phenomenal. I mean, If you played this game growing up, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is a huge milestone for Sega and really solidified their kind of weird out-of-the-box approach for that generation. So just imagine how pissed off you'd be when you got back with your Game Boy Advance version of the game, which is a total pack of lies. First off, they pull this weird nonsense where they tried to overly compress the cutscenes from the Dreamcast game and squeeze them onto the Game Boy Advance, to which why? Why would you even waste your time doing that? It looks bad. There's literally no point. But then you get to the actual game, and okay, at first this looks semi-passable, but then you start trying to play it, and therein lies the problem. Now, if you're playing an isometric kind of top-down game, if you've ever played any isometric top-down game, you know that whatever way you are pressing on the D-pad is the way your character needs to move. Some bozo thought the best idea for this game was to make tank controls. That's right, tank controls, as in you rotate with left and right, and up is always forward, no matter which way you're facing. And I don't know about you, but I've never done that with an isometric game before, and that is why you're currently watching me run into stuff constantly. I could not control this game worth anything. I hit walls, rails, enemies. I just hit stuff non-stop because the controls are 100% nonsensical. And not only that, I mean, it's hard for me to really harsh them too bad on this, but the music. They take your classic songs that you know from Jet Grind Radio and basically loop a 10-second loop out of it over and over and over again. It really is grating. It kind of drives me crazy. It sounds horrible. The screen tearing in this game is horrible. I could not even record more than 15 minutes of gameplay of this. I was like, you know what? No, this will get the point across. This sucks. This is nothing like the original. This isn't even if you were to name it something different and say, hey, here's the pocket version, it's not even close. This game is should not even exist. So this last one is the one that personally happened to me, and I still feel the heartbreak to this day. If you are an OG viewer of my channel, you know that Donkey Kong Country is probably one of my favorite games ever. Not only is it one of my favorite games, specifically and more personally for me, it is my first video game. It was the first game that was ever wholly mine. It didn't belong to my stepsister. It wasn't something I played at a friend's house. It was my game. It was my first game. I mean, this thing it's like the game I always go back to. I know every secret. I know every level backwards and forwards. This game is a dream. And if you were to tell me way back when that a game like this, I mean, these pre-rendered graphics, just how beautiful it looked, the sound, the gameplay, that this game was something I could have on a Game Boy, I would have just gone absolutely crazy. Well then, the Game Boy Color came out, and they promised just that. Well, I went to the store and I saw it on the shelf and I pointed it out to my mom and I was like, I need this game. I want this for the Game Boy so bad. And of course, I didn't get it because we were at the store, but I ended up getting it as a gift. And, I was so happy, so surprised. It was on the Game Boy Color, so I was like, this game's gonna be in color. This is gonna be the same experience I have on my Super Nintendo, but I can finally take it with me. I can play it on the bus. I can play it, at lunch with friends. I was so excited. And then this is what I got. This was the game that I got. This is what happened when I turned on my Game Boy Color, my purple Game Boy Color. This is the game, this monstrosity. First off, calling it a Game Boy Color game is a stretch. This is not color. This is lame. And then it's so choppy. The controls are horrible. You don't even ride the animal buddies. You turn into them. You don't have Diddy Kong following you. You have a DK barrel logo stickered in the bottom corner. This game is an abomination. It is absolute garbage. The worst part is I kind of had some hope, because as I was playing through the first level, all the secrets were there. I mean, you had the same exact places with the bonus stages. The bananas were in the same spot. Everything seemed on the up and up, but then you just keep playing it, and it just keeps being bad. And the worst part is you know, it sold itself as Donkey Kong Country, and this Donkey Kong Country, it is not. As I was recording gameplay for this video, I was having like war flashbacks of just like how upset I was when I played this and how, you know, just betrayed I felt by Nintendo. Luckily in the future, this game would come out on Game Boy Advance and it would be legit. But, you know, at the time, this is what existed, and this is, you know, as a kid, this is what I thought was gonna be the game of my dreams. This is the game I could take with me, and, you know, it was an outright lie, and that is the biggest problem, is it sold itself as Donkey Kong Country, and, you know, at the end of the day, what I got was a steaming pile of crap. So those were a couple games that did not live up to the quality of their namesake and definitely could have misled some uninformed consumers. But hey, what do you guys think? Are there any games that you know of that really kind of could maybe be misleading, or, you know, were saying they were going to be one thing and when you get the real thing, it's not even close to what it was advertising, at least being part of? Let me know in the comments down below. Like I said, these are just 4 examples I had in my collection. I'm sure there are tons more, so I really want to know about them. And, you know, some of these have that so bad they're so good quality kind of thing. So I would like to kind of maybe dig into some if you have some good examples. Hey, that's going to do it for us today, guys. Once again, thank you so much for viewing, hanging out. Please leave a thumbs up, thumbs down if you feel the kind of way. And subscribe if you haven't. It would mean the world to me. And hey, as always, take it easy.